Star Wars Jedi Survivor is an open-world, multiple-planet action-adventure, lightsaber battles, moral compass, 1 million secrets, I miss my kids' motivations, epic boss battles, funny, getting 100% takes forever, lore building, souls-like, metroidvania, middle of the trilogy, fan service everywhere, betrayal and revenge story, parrying, different stances, customize almost every single cosmetic you can think of, except for the ship, which we could actually do in the first game, but side missions galore, love interests, real actors in a video game, excellent story, they did actually include fast travel this time, force powers puzzles, unlocking a long lost planet, beautiful looking, expertly crafted game, and I really think you should give it a shot. Jedi Survivor is an action-adventure game released April 28, 2023 on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series consoles. Developed by Respawn Entertainment and published by EA, players control young Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, or Cal Custard as I like to call him. It is the direct sequel to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order that was released in 2019 and actually takes place 5 years after the previous game's events.
It's been 84 years.
When Jedi Survivor first released, it did not review very well. And there were many graphical and just flat out weird glitches, but as is the way of 2024 gaming, Respawn kept working on it, and now just over a year later, it's in an amazing state. Throughout my time with the title, I finished the game, all the side missions, and started the insane collectathon, but I kind of gave up as I realized how much work it would be. I had only a small amount of glitches, nothing that really ruined anything for me. I had a couple of spots where I was able to bypass an encounter or this obvious like metroidvania lock and key style spot that I wasn't supposed to access till later, but nothing really game breaking. I played through the game on my Xbox Series X. Respawn Entertainment is an American video game development studio founded by Jason West and Vince Zampella, who were leads at Infinity Ward during arguably its best time, making the Call of Duty Modern Warfare titles we all know and love. After the first Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the pair pushed Activision for large bonuses and creative control over the sequel Modern Warfare 2. Activision agreed to this deal on the condition that if the two ended up fired, none of the bonuses would have to be paid out. Guess what? Surprise, surprise. Shortly after Modern Warfare 2 released, the two were fired. Everyone sued everyone, it was all settled out of court, and only 1 month after their firing, Respawn Entertainment was born. West, Zampell, and 38 of the 46 Infinity Ward employees who resigned from the studio following their firings quickly began the work on their first title, Titanfall, an online-only Xbox-exclusive first-person shooter. It received middling reviews, and they then developed and released Titanfall 2. After that, they were officially acquired by EA. The first game released through EA was actually Apex Legends, and if you don't know how that went, to add in a little more laughs in the face of Activision, in the same year as Apex Legends, Respawn releases Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which also does amazing. In 2020, they go ahead and release a VR-only Medal of Honor game, which is like, okay. And then we get to Jedi Survivor. Since Respawn has Apex under their belt, they're most likely given freedom to pursue other projects, and EA seems to have learned from its previous Star Wars lessons. So Jedi Survivor turns out to be actually better than the first one in almost every single way. The premise of Jedi Survivor is insanely complex, but you may appreciate a couple of story beats about the first one before starting it. Basically, the whole time in the first game, you're trying to gain access to this ancient vault that has like a list of kids' names that are force sensitive so you can rebuild the entire Jedi Order. On your way to the vault, you make a whole bunch of friends and enemies. When you finally unlock the vault, you get a force vision, which is Cal Custard's power, and the vision shows that if you were to rebuild the Order, you will eventually fail. So, Cal destroys the list and the game ends. So, great game and you learn a lot, but essentially the whole thing leads to nothing except for some new friends. Then the second game starts, and spoilers for the entire story of the second game, it's been 5 years. Cal is much stronger now and he has a new goal: survive and maybe even start to thrive. He wants to beat the Empire, but as he realizes what kind of a fight lies ahead, a small part of him is thinking about actually just moving on. The game begins, you hear these whispers of the secret planet, Tanalorr. The Empire hasn't found it yet. And following the start of your search for it, you meet another Jedi named Dagan, in hopes that it will join you along your path. But no, he wants to fight you, and he's excited to return his dark side friends, and of course he's well aware of Tanalorr and wants it for himself. It's actually why he was imprisoned in the first place. We learn that there are these 3 magic secret compasses, and without at least one of them, it's impossible to get to Tanalorr because of this big asteroid field belt that only the compass can get you through. To talk about your friends, you've got Bode, Cal's buddy in the buddy film partner in crime type vibe here, and technically he's your only crew member left because everyone dies right at the start of the game. He actually wants to escape to Tanalorr with his daughter so they can be safe from the Empire. There's also Seer from the first game, who's now running this Jedi archive, and she wants to move the archive and all her followers, kind of culty, but whatever, all her followers to Tanalorr. There's Grease, who's also your friend from the first game. He's an expert pilot and a bar owner. Cordova, who is Cere's long-lost mentor and teacher. And finally, there's Marin, Cal's romantic interest and a magical warrior. As time moves on a bit, we learn that 2 of the 3 compasses are actually unsalvageable, but after Cal kills Dagon and his bodyguard Ravis, big scary guy, actually one of my favorite fights, they discover a repairable compass, and they bring it back to Cordova to fix. And of course, the Empire is never far away. Huge spoilers here, please be aware. And we found out that our buddy Bode has actually been working with them the entire time. He's actually a dark side Jedi and not just a guy with a jetpack and a gun. Boom.
Boom. Roasted.
The Empire destroys the archive and Cal has to fight Darth Vader. Yes, the Darth Vader. And well, it goes about as well as you'd expect. Cere actually gets killed during the fight with the Empire, and Cal wakes up out of nowhere and follows Bode to his amazing futuristic high-tech office home in the Empire base. Look at this place. He's living way better than anyone I've ever seen. Anyways, so Cal meets Bode's daughter, and Cal's been having these moments actually in which the dark side takes over, so maybe that's something we'll have to worry about soon. But after sneaking in the base, Cal finds a recording saying that TBH, you don't really need any of those 3 magic compasses, and you can actually just hit a switch on Koboh and go to Tanalorr that way. Yeah, they like to do that. Oh, everything you were just working for and all those people that died? Well, you could have just done it this way. They also did it in the first game, in which the entire game you're building up to this big thing and then boom. Oh, actually, we're gonna go a whole other way. Thanks though. So finally we get to Tanalorr, and Bode's already there just hanging out. After a big fight, it's revealed that Bode is too far gone, so Cal goes into his dark side as well, but just for one little second so he can kill Bode. And then because he's a good guy, they have a funeral for him and then raise his daughter for him. How cold is that, to kill the dad right in front of him and then be like, no, I will adopt you. I will save you. Anyways, now Cal and his buddies own an entire planet. They plan to invite the Archive, cult people, and we don't think the Empire actually knows about this planet. We'll see in the next game, I'm sure. Also, let's just hope that Cal stays good, even though sometimes he feels evil and he won't tell anyone about it. On to the actual gameplay. Jedi Survivor is at its heart a souls-like metroidvania. Welcome to the future. All gaming genres are just melding into one, and to be honest, it's kind of amazing. Jedi Survivor is a terrific third-person story action adventure with souls-like combat and parrying, a bunch of cool metroidvania key unlock areas, items, secrets, and just a whole assortment of things to do and collect. Let's start with the map. There are 6 total planets, but one of them isn't really a huge planet, so realistically there's 5 different real-world areas to discover, and one's a moon technically, but it's still like a big area to traverse and discover all the secrets. Each planet is distinctly different from one another, and even as a passing Star Wars fan, I was actually able to recognize Coruscant from the movies. Koboh is your home away from home, and it's the hub planet here. It's also the most explorable and fun planet. Throughout your travels on Koboh and other planets, you're always inviting anyone you meet, basically, that you like, to come and live, I guess, at Grease's bar. Where do they sleep? I don't know, but we get the whole basement to ourselves. Anyways, it's the hub planet, and you should always come back and chat with everyone in the bar to see how things are going, what's changed, what's going on. There's also this cool garden that you control. There's an aquarium that you, I guess, try and get clean and fill up with fishes, with the big fish-esque lobster that's always telling these crazy fishing stories when you find them on other planets. There's the bounty hunter who wants you to kill other bounty hunters. There's even a DJ in this place. One thing I want to take a second to point out about the gameplay is that there's these cinematic gameplay moments in which the game clearly and sometimes not so clearly expects you to follow a specific certain path they've laid out for you. And if you don't follow or don't realize what the path is, you just die. You have to restart. Like, I get it, it's cool, but also...
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
Finding collectibles is insane at times as well, even when you have the map marker for them, which was an adventure to unlock all on its own. They're well hidden or require multiple jumps, wall running, climbing up and down, and just a whole multitude of different skills you learn throughout the game just to get to and unlock a new set of grays for your metal cosmetics. I really enjoyed getting to these and figuring out the puzzle of how exactly I'm supposed to get there, even if the reward isn't always worth the effort. The map system leaves a bit to be desired, as it's this in-game, in-action opening up of the map, which ends up taking a second or two depending on what you're doing when you click the map button, and you have to be standing still. So no checking the map when you're in movement or in battle, which actually led to me running to safe spots during encounters to make sure I'm heading the correct way instead of refighting tons of enemies that aren't actually blocking the item I want. There are also these pretty cool puzzle areas. Most are accessible quite early in the game, and they're these closed off, secluded areas without enemies, and the only goal is to use your current powers to finish the room. usually unlocking a perk or something, which I'll get into later. These rooms aren't insanely complicated. They usually require your full attention to figure out where you're intended to end up and how to get there. Now on to actual combat. To begin, there are 5 different lightsaber stances. Although if you're anything like me, you may find yourself sticking to the original single lightsaber throughout the entire game. There is double-bladed, which is great for groups, cross-guard, which is honestly way too slow to do anything, but it's supposed to be this all-powerful method of killing, dual-wielding, which is insane and lets you cancel attacks with the block button, which is more helpful than you might think, and the blaster, which I only found really good for whittling away a big enemy's health from a distance. Once you've chosen 2 of the 5 lightsaber stances in the meditation menu, because that's all you're allowed to have equipped at one time. If you want to try other stances, you have to go to a bonfire, meditation circle, and switch them out there. Why, you may ask? No one knows. Anyways, once you've picked it, it's Dark Souls combat time. There's a block bar, stamina bar, but there's also these extremely useful force powers. And knocking a particularly annoying enemy off a cliff to his death is so satisfying, it's just...
oh, beautiful.
Instead of another long, boring fight you've done 50 times by now. Another great force power is the mind control power. Once you've put some skill points into the higher levels of it, you can simply mind control an extremely strong enemy and have him wreak havoc on all the other small enemies, or have these 2 gargantuan creatures duke it out and then you can jump in and take out whoever survives. There's an entire perk system, which I didn't really use other than the first couple of times I unlocked one. I equipped it right away, but it is there. It's kind of useful at times, especially in the starting areas where you can kind of lean on a power to make yourself better. I also only played through the game on regular difficulty, so the perk system may be more beneficial to those playing on something a bit harder. The perks do have some excellent benefits, which can potentially change your entire way of playing if you're really trying to take advantage of them. These are most often unlocked in those puzzle rooms I was talking about earlier. There are also a couple that are purchasable through various vendors throughout the galaxy. Now on to my favorite parts of these reviews, my memorable moments. I actually had a lot with this game, and I even whittled it down a fair amount, but to begin with, the one-on-one lightsaber duels were amazing. The Ravis fight, the Dagon fight, just excellent fighting, parrying with a couple of middle of fight cutscenes, and just enough difficulty on normal that I wasn't powering through and had to grit my teeth a little bit. I was always hoping for that next big duel, and it would be always more crazy than the last. Jedi Survivor loves doing the classic Souls thing where a strong boss just appears out of nowhere, and those fights were also amazing, especially this Dave fight here. My all-time favorite part of this game is this late game optional area where you end up fighting 3 strong enemies all in one encounter. It was ridiculous in the best way. I was essentially cheesing my way through the fight, even though it was all logical fighting mechanics. It had me laughing alone as it's so ridiculous and funny and tough. I was essentially jumping around trying to figure out how I could possibly do damage on these guys. Slight spoiler ahead, the sandstorm part was also amazing. Just trying to get through this evil sandstorm and still having to fight the Empire. This was one of those parts where if you don't follow exactly what the game intended, it becomes obvious right away. But when you do follow it, the whole sequence, start to finish, is a beautiful example of great moment-to-moment storytelling and emotional breakthroughs of just having the characters stuck and adapting to the situation as it evolves all around you. The player's in panic mode, there's no walking out of this one and going back to normal gameplay. Get through the sandstorm, and that's your only goal. If you couldn't tell yet, I loved Jedi Survivor. And honestly, even though it is technically a middle of trilogy game, it does everything it sets out to quite well, while also creating an immersive canon side story to the Star Wars series. Jedi Survivor isn't afraid to veer off course and show off its own expensive set pieces, characters, and stories. If you haven't given this game a try yet, it's currently available for free technically on Game Pass and EA Play, but it's also available physically and on digital storefronts for about $30-ish. Get going and tell me what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Thanks for watching till the end, and I'll see you next time.